Kyle here from allmedia.reviews.blogspot.com. One more video today. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Rob again. Review of Lucky Hank. I made one last week. I made a video and flubbed it, and I'm going to redo it. So I gave it a thumbs up the first season. I don't know if it's going to be the only season. Bob Odenkirk is very good, but different in a lot of ways in this series as opposed to as Saul Goodman in Better Call Saul or Jimmy McGill, and in Breaking Bad, Saul Goodman. He's more sympathetic. He's a writer at this college in Pennsylvania, and it's revolving around his life and work at this university, this kind of liberal arts school, being the head of... He's a writer. He's an English teacher, rather. He's the head of the English department, and so he has to make a decision. He's also on tenure. But then also involving his wife and her career prospects of what she wants to do. She's like a vice principal at a high school, and she's not thrilled with that work, and so she has an opportunity to go work in New York for a better situation. She has no boyfriend there, so infidelity comes up. But, you know, there's other things. A lot of it's revolving around Bob Odenkirk, his character. His name is, like, Henry or Hank Devereaux Jr. Let me just pull this up quickly. I'm sorry I'm not on camera. There's only 8 episodes on AMC. The show includes the castings besides Bob Odenkirk, of course. And it's one of the creators, this guy named Mark Johnson. It's also based on a book called... not the guy, the normal guy or something like that. It's based on a book. Cedric Yarborough, who I know from Speechless on ABC, he's also points was on like Key and Peele and on Goldberg's actually, and some other show. But this is a more like this is a dramedy. Diedrich Bader from Napoleon Dynamite and American Housewife most recently on ABC. So you have a bunch of ABC sitcom actors, you could say. The other notable cast member I knew was just recently Suzanne Cryer, from Silicon Valley. She plays a much different character in this show. She was like very straight, almost kind of not emotionless, but very introverted is the right way in Silicon Valley. She's more kind of outspoken at times, but I don't know. She is. It's a different kind of humor if she's being it's humorous, but she's a different character. I think I kind of liked her character more in Silicon Valley in some ways. She's this poetry professor, but she kind of, I don't say is the word delusional. She kind of thinks more of her poetry than really is warranted in some ways, but she finally gets published. Mariel, I think Enos plays Lily Devereaux. She was in The Killing, which I've never seen, another AMC show. So you have Bob Odenkirk, who I'm in Better Call Saul on Breaking Bad. He's on those 2 AMC shows for like whatever it was, 12, 13 years, and then another AMC. She was in The Killing, which I meant to see. I watched a couple episodes, but I never went back. I could always go back to that show right now. But she's best known. There's World War Z. There's a movie she did. She was in an episode of Electric Dreams. I'd have to go. I watched that show. That was that anthology that from Star Trek. The guy from Star Trek made based on the Philip K. Dick stories and stuff like that. What was his name? No, it doesn't. It doesn't actually give his credits. Well, that's just the episode. Was she in the Steve Buscemi? No, this was just the list of people. But Raoul D. Moore. Anyway, so I mean, what can I say about this show? He's got a relationship with his father that's been like sort of broken. His father, it turns out, he's not going to talk to him. His father walked down on him and his mother when he was younger and didn't come to his wedding or anything like that. He wasn't in communication. He was just writing through letters. But he just hates his father, but his father is going to come back. His father was a published author and professor, I guess, too, at different schools. Wrote books. But his father is kind of... I don't know if he's got Alzheimer's or just kind of experiencing memory loss. So, Hank's character wants to kind of you know, get back at his father, doesn't want to talk to him or just kind of find out, but he can't because his father isn't fully there. His father isn't completely gone, but isn't fully there, and so if it comes back for a second season, they could probably address that more, I think, because they didn't really resolve that. They do introduce him eventually, talk about him the first like 5 episodes, and eventually they introduce him, but the other big plot, the primary plot of the season is that he has to be in charge of choosing to fire 3 people, to cut 3 positions, which turns out Kyle MacLachlan's character, he's like a president. He's trying to actually do this to save money, to look good, to go to a different school, to go to MIT and everything. Which Kyle MacLachlan's playing more of these authority figures. He kind of did in the Fletch movie, and there's like something else he's been doing recently. But the way he kind of, dealt with and eventually resolved that situation is pretty good. It's about as good as you could expect. Straight Man, that was the name of the book. It was Straight Man. But you think about the predicaments that he did, Bob Odenkirk and the Saul character, and he would have definitely approached it differently, but the resolution actually ends up being about as well as you could, because he's under a lot of stress because he's got to let go of 3 people and he doesn't know who to. And even though he doesn't have great relations with most of the English department, and it was not just him at the university that had to do this, but infidelity comes up a little bit here and there, and there's stuff with his daughter and his son-in-law and infidelity, and that plot isn't really resolved either. So there's some talk that this show, because they kind of resolve the whole plot with, the cuts to the department, won't be coming back, kind of like Rubicon, which was a great show on AMC, and like Dispatches from Elsewhere, the Jason Segel show from a few years ago that didn't come back. I can sort of understand why it didn't, but I'm hoping Lucky Hank does come back for a second season. Nothing's going to happen until this writer's strike gets resolved, of course, but there's things they could do, but they may not end up doing. I don't know. I mean, if you like Bob Odenkirk, it's worth seeing for sure. Don't expect to sort of be that sort of witty, fast-talking, plotting. He's more methodical and more kind of dealing with a lot of tough issues, but he manages to kind of get through them in some ways. But there's more drama than I expected. The first 3-4 episodes, I found it to be pretty good in terms of the mixture of comedy and drama. Then there was an episode where there was some comedy, but they had the whole English department at his house for dinner, and that got to be pretty serious and intense. It was like, though, this is just feeling like a drama now. But it's not too dark. It gets dark at points, but it's not too dark. It's a good sort of escapist show in some ways, and it's an easy show to watch. But given the fact you have these other actors that have done comedy, including Bob Odenkirk, I think you probably would not be best to expect it to be, at the comedic level of, I don't know, Silicon Valley or something, But, it'd be interesting to see if they do get a second season. Otherwise, I'm waiting for whatever Vince Gilligan does, because he's got a show that he's pitched, but, I know they were going to, it may be on Apple Plus, I don't know. Everything seems to be showing up on Apple TV. But anyway, have you seen Lucky Hank? What did you think of it? Otherwise, check it out if you're a Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad fan. Definitely don't sleep on it. It's on AMC. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you next time.